Okay, ready to go, Sean?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right. Well, thank everyone for coming out. Tonight is Monday, April 8th. Hold on a second. Let me just make sure. Okay, sorry about that. So thank you for coming out. Tonight is Monday, April 8th, and this is the Lewisboro Town Board meeting. For the folks here in the room, there is an exit towards the front of the building and an exit towards the rear of the building. And if you can, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so
Since we don't have, Tony, we don't have a presentation by the county executive, can we have an opening public comment period?
we have it at the end of the meeting, and it'll be for everything.
What can we have it?
Because I've scheduled it for the end of the meeting. We have a long business list ahead of us.
Well, okay, I'd ask that we open it up, since we picked up some time with county executive not up here. I'd ask if we could have one at the outside.
Okay, so I'll leave it up to the board, but should have questioned that earlier.
Well, I was in the middle of doing
Okay.
work, sorry.
That's right. So so what do you want, Rich? You want to have a public hearing? I mean, public comment?
Yeah, if we can briefly.
Mary?
I'm okay with this.
Andrew?
That's what you want.
That's fine.
Okay, fine. So we'll start with public comment. Anybody here would like to say anything? No? Okay. How about on Zoom?
There is none.
Okay.
There you go.
So, yeah, so we had the county executive, George Latimer, was to be here to provide a presentation to the town board. He unfortunately had to reschedule, so hopefully we'll get him scheduled for a future meeting. Okay, communications, Rebecca Peck. You're Rebecca? Hi, Rebecca, how are you?
Yeah,
All right, so we have so this week is Week of the Child.
the young child.
The young child, right. So we have a proclamation. Rebecca's with the Country Children's Center in Vista. And
Well, it's not just in Vista.
Yes, well, I went.
she's with the one in Vista, right,
We have 5.
right.
Yeah.
And tomorrow I had the opportunity to read to the children,
Yeah.
as I did last year. So which was a fantastic experience for me personally. But we do have a proclamation which I'd like to read. This is a resolution adopted by the town board of the town of Lewisboro at a meeting held on April 8th, 2024. Whereas the first years of a child's life are the period of the most rapid brain development and lay the foundation for all future learning. And whereas children's cognitive, physical, social, and emotional, and language and literacy development are built on a foundation of children's positive interactions with adults, peers, and their environment. And whereas a high percentage of mothers return to work in the first 6 weeks after the birth of a child, and whereas high-quality early childhood programs provide important benefits to children, families, in our state and national economies. And whereas participation in high-quality early childhood education saves taxpayer dollars, makes working families more economically secure, and prepares children to succeed in school, earn higher wages, and live healthier lives. And whereas high-quality early childhood education depends on high-quality early childhood educators who ensure that children supported by families have the early experiences they need for a strong foundation. And whereas young children need developmentally appropriate, accessible, and available early care and education settings. And whereas There you go. He's gonna have to come up to the podium and say his name.
As amended.
Competition in the making.
Exactly, right. Whereas access to an early childhood education workforce that reflects a rich diversity of linguistic, racial, and cultural identities. And whereas working families need sufficient high-quality childcare spaces beginning at birth to be available in the community, that's right. Therefore, be it resolved that the town of Lewisboro does hereby proclaim April 7th through 13th of 2024 as the Week of the Young Child, and does hereby recognize that high-quality early childhood education provided by the Country Children's Center in a mixed delivery system is a public good, and urge all members of our community to support efforts that increase children and families' access to high-quality early childhood education. Dated at South Salem, New York on the 8th day of April, 2024. So I'd like to go ahead and present this to you, Rebecca.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank you very
much.
much, and thank you for all you do.
Yes, thank you. We're looking forward to tomorrow.
Yes, yes, I'll be there. Could you? Okay,
Thank you very much.
okay. If you want to say anything, you're more than welcome to say a few words.
What David can say.
Sure, maybe, yeah, exactly.
No, we're just very thankful for this. The Week of the Young Child is a national event across the country celebrating the importance of early childhood, and it just brings awareness to what we do. Today we celebrated Music Monday, and we actually had Officer York from the town of Lewisboro come and be a mystery reader. We have obviously town supervisor coming this week. We have the librarian, and it just helps us celebrate different events throughout the center. You know, Tasty Tuesday, work together Wednesday with the families, and it's just a great opportunity to, shed some light on early childhood and why it's important, and we need everyone's support. So we so appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Let's see, so moving on, we have consent agenda, which is the approval of minutes of March 11th and March 25th, and the monthly reports from the building department, the March monthly report from the building department. Like to motion, we accept consent agenda. Do I have a second?
The minutes for the last meeting there was a point where the consultant said there was no comment about the 150 foot buffer for the water zone, but there have been some comments to address that,
So if you want to email me what you want me to insert in there.
okay, we'll do,
do that.
okay, thank you.
Should we
Leave that one out until.
Yeah, we don't have the police system
because,
because there was system issues.
okay, so we're gonna catch up for, we'll have 2 months, I guess, for next month.
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
So those minutes will be put over to the next. Is that what we're gonna do?
Approve them as amended by Mary.
Okay.
Mhm.
Good.
There's a motion, there's a second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, old business. So we have the Lewisboro Town Park Pool Bathhouse. There was a document distributed, site plans distributed to the board by Nicole. And also today, a rendering of that, or yesterday, or
Yesterday.
This afternoon.
this afternoon, yeah.
There was more this afternoon? I missed the
Yeah,
one.
I can put it up on the screen if,
With the color.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can, okay. Go to that. Okay, so I'm going to share the screen. So.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Let me give it a screen or something like up here.
It's not
No, there it is.
There it goes. Okay, it took a while. Because it's a large file. Okay. So this is the rendering of the there were 3 attachments, Nicole. This is the only one that I could open up. The other 2 were a different format.
Okay.
But I think this is sufficient for. And then I have the floor plans as well. So this is the drawing that we received from the architect. And this is the north elevation, which is the entrance facing the Route 35 side.
Correct, into the
Right.
pool facility.
Right. And what I can do now is put up the plans themselves. Let's see. So let me share. Okay, let me share. Okay. So again, yeah, so again, we have the north elevation. We have the south elevation with a separate door for a bathroom that'll
Correct,
be accessible outside of the pool.
correct.
It's not changing.
Oh, sorry.
I'm assuming.
Oh, it's not changing on Zoom. It's still the prior. Oh, wait. Okay. I have to reshare then. Stop share. Sorry about that. Okay, start over. Okay, so that should be on Zoom now.
Yep.
Okay, good. So again, we have the north elevation, which is the side of the building facing Route 35.
Mhm.
And then we have the south elevation with a separate door for restroom facility that's accessible outside of the pool. That's the west elevation.
So that's the interior facing the concession.
Correct, right. And that area that juts out, that's where the current structure is.
Awning is
The awning,
correct.
right. And then you have the east elevation.
So that's if you're coming from the pool
Correct.
to.
Right, right. And here,
But here's a question, I only saw one door into a bathroom. Aren't there
So-
2 entrances for the, where am I missing that when you?
There are, so
There.
they're built out vestibules that you're going to walk into, kind of like how they are already set up.
Mhm.
That doorway in the middle is the hallway to the 2 individual restrooms, family restrooms.
right,
Okay, so where is the entrance to the vestibule you're explaining, just?
With
And
the
the-
person in
So it would be, no,
Picture seems to have like a big sliding set of doors, which is hard to pick out on this here.
so over on.
which picture is that?
I don't know, it's just one that came today.
Oh, okay,
Oh,
okay,
I didn't see that.
that's the one that you could
Oh,
open,
you must have the app that opens it.
It's
Yes.
just-
That's the WMP.
Yeah.
It opens in Edge for some reason.
Oh, okay,
okay, I got
right,
it,
okay.
But I just, as I say, I don't see on there, I'm sure it'll materialize, but,
Yeah,
because I'm with you, the thing like a single door.
yeah,
right.
but that's the one that goes to the exterior bathrooms.
No.
That-
the-
That
the
there is
north
one
elevation-
interior bathroom, a family restroom in that doorway. It's a hallway. And there's actually a pull down like attic where the storage will be above.
Mhm.
And then there is a door to the next restroom. Which would then also be accessible from the exterior.
And then off this hallway would be the entrance to the ladies' room and then the entrance to the men's room.
No,
I'll show
the
you.
entrances will be on the outside. So they're underneath the awning on either side.
So here's the floor plan. Oops. Yeah, so there's the covered entry porch as a,
Mhm. Oh, okay, I see it,
and then
See the
there's
vestibule
the,
now?
yes,
yeah,
the doors are this way, not this way.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
so this is this is page 3 of 3.
I get it, and there's the door that goes into the hallway down the middle. I see.
Yep.
Okay.
And then here is the bathroom facility accessible from the rear of the building.
From the rear of the building, is that accessible from where, from outside the pool area, so that,
That access road in the back is where that,
so because the plan was to allow people who are doing other activities outside the pool, like when the pickleball courts,
Post Labor Day, I guess.
right?
right, and
Okay.
outside of the pool.
Got it.
Hours,
Right.
Can get it.
right, so that would remain locked at all times unless. the pool's
And we talked about potentially,
locked.
right,
Got it, okay.
and we talked about potentially year round.
Correct,
with
so
a
Darren had
heater.
said that we could do, an electric heater
Right,
for that bathroom, so that we didn't have to put as much into just heating.
Correct, so the rest of it would be, the door to the right, everything else would be locked, and that bathroom would be open and accessible from the outside. Got it.
and on the right, you have the lifeguard station in an office.
Correct, so that is actually going to be an add-on. Should we proceed with Darren as an add-on of the bid?
Mhm.
Because if our costs are too much, then we can cut back and continue using the current.
Right,
So. So at this point, I think it's gonna be a motion, right, to authorize another 5,000 to get through phase 2B, right?
That's correct.
That's all we're doing at this juncture.
that is correct.
I second that.
Was that was your motion? And you second it?
Oh, yes.
That's correct.
Okay, and discussion? So all in favor?
Roll call.
Oh, we need roll call?
5,000.
Aye.
Mary Shaw, aye.
Tony, I.
Andrea Rendo, aye.
Dan Welsh, aye.
So it's an additional 5,000?
Yes.
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 For the phase 2B.
It's too big.
And so phase 2B is, I could put that up on the screen as well. So folks can see it.
Design development, coordinate framing design with Mid-Atlantic timber framers for preliminary frame cost estimates.
Right. So that'll give us an idea of what the cost will be for the framing piece. Which eventually leads to the documentation that we need for approvals, construction, and bidding. So roll call?
We did already.
Oh, we did already.
Did it.
Oh, sorry.
To be or not to be, that is the question. So we already got it.
Okay.
Oh,
So next we have, let's see here. This is related to Oak Ridge. This was part of the package that we have previously reviewed for the project. And it's related to the services provided by Delaware Engineering. They have an agreement that was executed in 2021. That was, let's see, where is it? It's here somewhere. It was executed in 2021 for the engineering. And this adds on the construction management. And again, this is all part of the overall project cost that we had already reviewed. Being paid for by the EPA grant, the New York State FC grant, and some borrowing that we the board authorized.
Total with the 2.2, is it total?
It's the total grants were 1.8 from EPA, 1.8 million, and 1.16 from New York State EFC.
So it's just with this additional 220 amendment, that's still staying within the.
Right, it was included as part of the overall $3.9 million project cost. Yeah, it was in that budget spreadsheet that I had shared in the prior meeting.
This is not a total cost, this is just effectively itemizing one component of it.
Correct.
Okay.
Right, and then we have to amend the agreement, the existing agreement, to reflect the construction management.
To conform the itemization for this component. Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
So I'd like to motion that we go, actually, it's approving the supervisor to sign. So would someone like to motion?
I'll move that we authorize the supervisor to sign the amendment to the Delaware agreement as presented, amendment number 1, increasing the agreement
Increasing.
sum from the original 180,000 by 220,000 to a total of 400,000 to accommodate the construction management services.
Second,
Discussion? All in favor? Roll call. Rich?
Yeah, just says construction-based services in the agreement. Aye.
Mary Shaw, aye.
Tony, aye.
You don't vote because.
Oh, that's right.
So,
You're right.
Andrea Randall,
I
aye.
abstain.
Yeah, well, sorry.
Okay, so that's it for old business.
Well, can we add one more item for old business?
For old business, yeah, I noted that here. I know you wanted to.
And that would be the pickleball court.
Yes.
My laptop is not working, so I have to pull it up on my phone.
Did you want to pull up?
Did you get the email from Nicole? As well.
Today?
It's, the pickleball courts, we've got a person, Max Wasserman, who will be, proposing that his Eagle Scout project will be the stairs up to the pickleball court. And do we need, as the town board, to approve that? Or is it done through USBAC first?
I mean, I would say down the road. I don't think we need to approve that now,
Okay,
but it's just a data point that we're sharing with the board and
Okay.
the public.
and we look forward to his completing that and it being approved. And as far as the pickleball court itself, we have the donation from the family for $50,000. I would like to motion that we earmark the $350,000 from ARPA for the completion of said pickleball project at Town Park.
And once we do that, how much will be left?
Approximately. So. I think we have, there was some adjustment because we didn't utilize the full 350 for the playground.
Right.
So that puts 50,000 back onto
Right,
the
you mentioned that
533,
when,
so.
when we were talking about it in prior meeting, so.
Yes,
So it's-
so we're up to 580. It's actually closer to 6. It's above 600,000 because there's also, Joel did a good job of getting less expensive generators, so it's not going to cost us that much. I'm waiting to get that final number.
Yeah, you referenced those two items in the
So-
prior meeting, but the.
Correct. I thought I had that here, but I did not. So we talked about allocating 350 to the pickleball courts.
Yes.
So
And what else? Because we have to designate this by June, don't we?
no, by December.
Okay,
It has to be
Allocated.
appropriated.
Yeah.
And then,
okay.
What else were we kicking around when we had the discussion about potential ARPA
The
expenditures?
pool house.
yeah,
Ball courts.
yeah, so the pool house is now off the list. The second well disinfection system for the town park was, we were gonna pursue the New York State EFC WIA grant.
Right,
Um,
and why is the pool house off the list?
Because we're
because we're taking out a bond.
Bond.
I got it,
Bonding
right,
for it.
that's right.
Yeah. And then there was an LPD charger and outfit package. Was the other one that we were,
So then we can
Sorry.
start entertaining other ideas because there'll still be money left.
correct.
Is the news that the state is cutting the water budget in half? At all, something that's relevant to the WIA
Well,
grant
yeah,
possibilities?
so possibly, yes, they are cutting. I heard from Senator Harkam that with the new budget, they are, they'll be cutting the amount of funds that are going towards clean water projects. Although they're working on, Peter and company are working on trying to put that money back in. We did test, because we talked about testing the water, to see if there's PFAS. And low
Testing the water at the town park.
testing the water at the town park, right? Because if there was any contamination, it would better our chance of getting a New York City FC grant. Because they like to give out grants when it's for mitigating any contamination. The PFOA level was non-detect, which means no PFOA detected. And the PFOS was 1.84, which is below the state's threshold of 10 parts per trillion. So according to Delaware Engineering, if we submit this application, chances are we're not going to get it because we don't have PFAS. Now, what I did do, and I sent that email to the board about the congressionally directed spending that was presented to us by Senator Gillibrand's office. So I went ahead and applied. The deadline was Friday, and I applied for that for this project. And we're actually going to put in, I spoke to Nicole, there's high iron and manganese, which causes our maintenance folks to do extra work every year to clean that stuff out of the pool and
In the hard water.
and so we spoke to Delaware about that. So as part of this grant application, we're going to be pursuing green sand filters like we have at Oak Ridge.
So it'll
And
remove the,
together with-
manganese.
Correct. And there will also be upgrading of the UV filtration. The UV filtration there is old and no longer supported. Supported meaning whenever we do any kind of upgrades to the water system there, the health department's going to require that we upgrade that UV system. So we incorporated that into the grant application to the design, as well as putting in a second well, which we don't need it at this point, but we figured might as well put that in as well and see if we can get that.
So when do we find out who gets the money for the grants? Because if not, then the rest of this ARPA money may have to be redesignated back.
Correct.
Okay.
Now, so to answer your question, this is part of 2025 funding.
Mhm.
So it all depends on the federal government and how quickly they can adopt the 2025 budget in October, which is when the
Well, that's
budget
kind
year.
of close
Uh,
for us to determine to reallocate the ARPA funds or to use the ARPA funds for
So-
this project.
Right, so we could, correct. Now, chances are, as happened with Oak Ridge, the budget's not gonna get finalized until the federal budget won't get finalized until 2025, so we probably won't know until 2025. But we should have an idea before the end of the year as to where things stand, but then, yes, we need to make a decision. One decision we could, and I was talking to Joel about this, we could not do anything at this point, so we can go ahead with the bathhouse work and not do anything with the water system. And then wait for another grant opportunity next year. And or there's gonna be, I mean, there are other grant opportunities that I think we can pursue even this year. And in addition, we have, so we can still apply for the WIA grant,
Mhm.
right? We can tell them, hey, there is some PFAS, it's not over the state limit, but if the federal government reduces their limit like they're looking to do, maybe that'll help us with getting the New York City FC grant this year for this project.
So what are the
So-
projects that are there for the remainder of the ARPA funds if we're not gonna reallocate it towards the water project?
The
Aside
OPD
from the-
there's the car, we could allocate it to wherever we, if we want to do any other upgrades, facility upgrades, any of the town buildings.
Should probably have a backup list before fall then.
Right,
Is there any highway?
we could do
component
additional,
building?
we could do this building here needs paving,
Yeah,
paving, yeah.
Yes,
You could do highway, you could do extra paving, highway, local roads.
there's also this right on the side of the townhouse here, there's water that keeps leaking up.
Yeah,
You
so
might
we have-
wanna check to look.
we
and
have
see
a
about
lead-
that water. Or that,
Is the,
Joe's looking into that, he's already looked into that, so I think he's got a proposal. We put money towards that.
That's already paid for, we have that.
That's paid for, and we're gonna be going out to bid to get that, yes.
I
we
would
just-
just like to know that the water at the pool is taken care of before the new season begins in 2025. Since the pool house is gonna start right in the fall. And it'll be finished, it'd be nice if the entire project could be done before the start of the season in the spring of 2025. So we really need to consider.
Right.
The grants are great. But we have the money now, and if we're gonna have it done and ready by the time the pool opens,
Well, we
we
could,
need to consider that. Of course, I would
Yeah.
love to get more money. From the federal government and from the state government, but since the deadline is cutting it so close. You know, we really need the project up and
right,
Right,
taken care of before next year. So
yeah,
it
and
may not work out timing wise, is my point.
and it may not, but you could still open up for the season. And in parallel, you could start building the new system. You don't need to turn off the water. You can, like we're doing with Oak Ridge, right? We're not turning off.
Yeah,
what are
I
there
know,
to-
but
new
if we
project.
ultimately, it'd be nice just to have it all done before we
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
open. Not have construction going on while we have kids swimming in the pool and
Right,
all of that going on, because there's equipment that's gotta be there, there's all sorts of other factors. It'd be nice to have it all cleared out before the
Right.
kids are in the pool. That's just my thought.
yeah,
So what,
as well as the kids at heart. Who use the pool as well.
so where do we leave off? We had the 350 motion plus the scout.
so we had a motion, yeah, the scout project, we don't have
Yeah, we
to,
don't have to vote.
because I think, so I think he should come to and present to us when he's ready.
Correct.
Yeah,
So I just spoke with him. He's coming to OSPAC tomorrow. He wants a decision. He wants approval by May so he can begin.
Right.
So I did say next meeting would have to. be
Yeah.
May.
How does that work as far as any kind of code stuff, as far as the project, just as far as like any kind of code compliance or is that?
Yeah,
We still have to get permits and then we'll consider waiving the fees and things like that, because it has to be in compliance, it has to be built.
Right. I believe
Yeah.
a Building inspector would have to be involved.
right, but it's municipal property, so we can, yeah, so we can streamline it.
Meets New York State building code.
Correct, right, and then,
Any ADA component.
Right. now what that does also, it eliminates that part of the project from the bidding. Right, so we can eliminate that from the bidding package, yeah.
So, I mean,
Okay, so what are we doing?
So right now, we're voting on the allocating the 350,000, so
Yep.
so we have a second? I think that was discussion,
Well, who was the motion?
I moved.
I'll second.
okay, so discussion? All in favor? Aye,
Do we have to
Dan?
roll call?
Yeah, so I,
oh, you did, Rich?
This is allocating, we
Yeah.
expend the money for a particular project.
Then we need to-
Right now,
we roll calling this?
Kind of budget.
So we're earmarking it,
Allocation.
and
Okay.
then once we
Aye.
start to spend it, we'll have to do the roll call vote.
Aye,
Right.
okay, aye.
So I believe that was unanimous.
So in favor? Aye, yeah, I think we did that,
Yeah.
okay, that's done, okay. Okay, so we have. New business, resolution approving hiring Martinez Carpentry Roofing LLC for removal and replacement of the dugout roofs at Fox Valley.
Andrea Rendell, move.
Second,
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
oh,
And that, just for the
Contract for the-
courtesy of the folks at home, this is a and the folks here,
There were 3 bids and this was the lowest.
this is the
bid.
lowest bid,
90,
$9,080.
90, yeah.
this is for the dugout roofs at Fox
Fox
Valley.
Valley.
Aye.
Mary
And the
Scott,
money was already, but it was already a budget item.
Yep,
aye.
Andrea Rendell, aye.
Dan Walshot.
Tony,
and, oh, sorry.
Are you gonna vote yes?
I vote yes, yeah, I'm just trying to.
Did Rich vote?
yes,
Okay, all in-
unanimous.
okay, so it's unanimous. Okay, next is a resolution approving Parks and Recreation surplus. Oh, no, I'm sorry.
No.
Hiring, resolution approving hiring of defense to install fence at Fox Valley to separate the playground from the playing fields. This was also a budgeted item.
Andrea Rendell, I'll move.
Second,
Roll call.
Discussion,
Aye.
Mary
Roll call.
Scott, aye.
Tony, I.
Andrea Rendell, aye.
Dan Walshot.
Next we have, resolution approving Parks and Rec surplus of 3 pieces of equipment. So they're gonna be selling, these 3 pieces of equipment. It's a 2002 GEM E285 utility vehicle, a 1999 John Deere Gator utility, and a Mill Creek spreader. PTO drive. Is that big spreader that was
Was
hiding in the bushes until we cut?
that we dug out, yes.
Okay.
One question,
Good.
what makes them surplus is defined here? There's no need for them, they're not useful anymore.
Correct.
You-
So,
You're declaring them obsolete
correct.
and authorizing them to be disposed of.
Okay, so,
I
yeah,
moved.
second,
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We don't need to roll call that.
No. Okay, next we have approving the agreement with Ridgefield Aquatic Club to use the Lewisboro Town Pool for swim practice. This is an agreement that we have done for several years with them.
So moved.
we getting any more, sorry,
No, go
we
ahead.
getting any more money?
Michael increased the rate.
Yeah.
Yeah, did he increase the fee?
It's an hourly,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay, second,
hourly fee. Discussion,
Discussion. I see that we also have another aquatic club there.
Yes, we
Do
have
we,
two.
do we still have time for our own swim team?
We do.
Okay, that was my only concern, right?
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so next is the second aquatics.
Storm aquatics.
The storm aquatics to use the Lewisboro Town pool for swim practice.
So moved.
second,
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Um. Okay, next is the history tour of Lewisboro and Parkin. History, Toury. This was a request to utilize our parking lot at Onatru.
Correct.
For this tour, which is being given on a Saturday. I forget-
April 27th.
April 27th. And there's a fee for that, $250, is that it?
That's what I'm going to charge.
Okay,
Yes.
so, and in your opinion, that's a fair,
We rent out the parks and pavilions for two non.
Oh, so much. So people from home to me, please.
We rent out the parks and pavilions to non-residents for $550. So this is a 4-hour rental for parking up to 25 vehicles. And I thought that it was fair, about half of what we charge for any time period of our park.
So this is an outside organization or?
Non-for-profit out of New Rochelle, looking to do a bus guided tour of some locations in Lewisboro.
what's the, the name of the,
His story.
so that's all, that's the entity?
And,
this is from their website.
so really insurance issues are all that.
I have not gone any further with them besides that I was seeking approval.
It's subject to meeting in the town's insurance requirements.
An opportunity to introduce Lewisboro to other people.
Okay, so was that a motion?
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
I thought Dan was making, I thought Dan was about to make it, so he was about
I
to say
move
that.
that we take this good opportunity to introduce Lewisboro to other people and rent that. And where are they starting?
Onatru.
They're starting at Onatru.
So that's their, so we're
Authorizing.
allowing the use of the parking lot area.
Yes,
That's it. That's all the involvement with it is the use of the parking lot.
that's all they've asked for.
So moved.
Second? I'll second.
Oh, I thought you were second. Okay.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next is resolution approving the renewal of license for Wind Waste Innovations / City Garden to collect and dispose of refuse and recyclables.
No issues? It's,
None of this like, no.
okay, so move,
Second.
Second. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have, this is a request from the planning board for approving the release of performance security for 65 Old Bedford Road. Which
Is it only part of it?
This is the remainder.
The remainder.
The remainder, yeah, it's the final release of $4,635.10. Of a previously posted $46,351 performance security held by the town.
so it's okay with whoever,
Needs to, building department, whatever.
Well, planning board,
Just planning board.
Yep.
Okay.
But you have to, your code is on. So they have to get your approval to have
Yes.
the public hearing and then release it. So they haven't done that yet. They're.
We're getting authorization.
Right, and then
Must.
you give the authorization and they'll schedule the public hearing and consider voting on those.
So
Okay.
we move to authorize their public hearing to,
On bundles.
on the bond release for 65 Old Bedford Road.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next, we have approving the town clerk's attendance at the 42nd Annual New York State Town Clerk Association Conference to be held April 21st or April 24th at the Desmond in Albany.
So moved.
Second,
Discussion.
well, I hope you have
On and
an
off.
educational time and
And this is a budgeted item, so it's
Yeah.
it's
Yes.
budget. Yeah.
It has been budgeted.
Of course.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Excuse me. Next is approving the highway superintendent's attendance at the annual School for Highway Superintendents, which will be held June 3rd through June 5th, 2024 at Ithaca College.
so move. Oh, you go ahead. I'll move.
This, second? I'll second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll just let's go down to this next thing here. So next we have it's an authorization of the Oskalita Culvert Project Funding Resolution. So just to give you a little background, we were awarded a $1.425 million grant to replace the Oskalita Road culvert.
1.425 million.
Correct.
And it,
And so New York, and this is from New York State DOT. So they require a funding resolution. This is a reimbursement grant and
right, so
so basically they want to see a commitment from the town to appropriate the funds required. Which then we get reimbursed for as we move the project along, and as we collect invoices, we send the invoices to them, and hopefully they'll reimburse us before the invoices are due, and then we can pay the contractors with the reimbursed funds. But if not, we need to tap into our reserve fund or
so
fund
it's, so
balance.
it's anticipated to be a wash based upon the prior granting, the prior successful grant for the amount.
Yes.
That is correct.
So moved.
Second,
I think we're authorizing you to sign that.
Well, that's the second item. This is the board approving the funding resolution.
Gotcha, sorry.
So you have a
you have a
second,
first and a second.
all this discussion, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Roll call? Or no?
No, for funding resolution?
Roll call.
Who made the motion? I'm sorry, and second, Rich. and-
And I seconded.
In the resolution, it doesn't have a roll call. It
Roll
should.
call.
Yeah, okay. So Rich,
Calling it audible. Aye.
Mary?
Mary Shaw, aye.
Aye.
Andrea Rendo, aye.
Dan Welsh, aye.
And now that we have this approved, we can move on to authorizing the supervisor to sign the New York State DOT Bridge New York over local project agreement. So there's a separate agreement with DOT.
So moved to have the supervisor sign the agreement.
And I second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
You can't vote on.
Oh, yeah, I abstain. Okay, so. All right, so next we have a couple of borrowing resolutions. So the first one, let me explain that one. It's approving a $40 million borrowing resolution for the Lake Sewer District for the WIA. It's the New York State Environmental Facilities Corp. WIA grant. Which is actually WIIA, the correct spelling, which stands for Water Improvement Infrastructure Act. Yeah. And in order to apply for the grant, you need to have a funding resolution. Now, our goal is to fund this project from multiple sources. There's a DEC grant, there's a county money as a result of a settlement with New York City DEP. There's also a contract agreement between DEC and New York City DEP that provides funding to the East of Hudson Watershed Corporation to municipalities. And within that contract, we already have for the lakes that we're gonna be doing this for. There's $6.25 million allocated to each lake. So that's 13 million. Or I'm sorry, 12.5 million. So in this funding resolution that was provided to the board, so what's in the packet was a draft. There's a final version that bond counsel tweaked after having a discussion with the legal counsel at New York State EFC. So basically, this funding, it's non-binding. It's not saying that we're gonna borrow the money. The project will have to be approved, and there's certain town law sections that need to be included. For example, you need to just go to that. Yeah, 12A, 12B, 12C, I think it was, which is basically you need to have a district formed, district formation. Yep, you need a map planning report. And it was a third item. I forget what that was. Let me just go to that. Actually, refer to the new one. Hold on a second.
You're still sharing. You want to stop sharing?
Am I sharing?
Mhm.
That's okay. CEFC final resolution. Here it is. So the goal here is to get this grant, which the application is due in June. But nothing will happen until a district is formed. And the district formation is going to be up to the residents that are going to make up that district. So that's going to
What do you mean by?
it means that there's going to be a wastewater
No.
district, a sewer district.
You said if I heard you correctly, you're saying that the forming of the district is up to the residents?
Correct, they have to vote on it.
Right, but don't we first have to,
The town board has to approve.
we have to have a public hearing to create a district and people can hear what that is, right?
I think
Correct.
there's two ways,
But
there's two ways to do it.
Form the district. 12, Article 12 is it the owners of 50% or more of the assessed value of the property within the boundaries of the proposed district. When you look at petition, then it's formed under, it can be formed under Article 12 after the public hearing. Article 12A is the town board does it on their own motion. And that's subject to a permissive referendum if in fact the residents wish to, or the proposers wish to.
Right.
So you can do either one, my guess is based on whatever exigency you have for securing the grant, you'd probably do a 12A.
Well, by permissive referendum or
Or
by
on your
petition.
own motion subject to it, so it could go to a referendum.
And all right, so just to clarify,
Sure.
permissive versus mandatory referendum, because I know it's been an issue in the past. Permissive means the town board, as an entity passes, and then it becomes law unless a certain percentage of the, population sign a petition saying otherwise, requiring it to go to a vote. But
Correct.
without them collecting the petitions, that was like 10%,
I think it's 5% of the last group.
5% or less, then,
Overall.
but it's not something that the town does, it's something that the residents would have to do. They would have to create the petition, they would have to walk the petition, and once the required signatures are submitted, and then it would go on the ballot for a permissive referendum.
After they submit it to the
It's
town.
filed with the clerk with the
File.
timeframe, and then if it's appropriate and valid petition, then it will be subject to a referendum on hopefully on a regular election. instead of-
Correct, but if nobody does the petition, it goes into effect on its own.
That's good, and if there's public hearings in the formation, and the formation document in the notice of public hearing has a legal description of every single parcel in the district, and this, my understanding, is about 220 or 230
Yep.
proposed parcels. So it's a process that takes the better part of a year to get the formation started over there.
So permissive, a synonym, it's not a bad synonym to say almost presumptive, really, presumptively enacted. It's not bad with the synonym, I guess, really, the way it procedurally works out.
Like the barn resolution you do for paving, that's subject to a permissive.
Mhm.
You very rarely get the petition ball. It can happen. Well, that's the check and balance against the board doing something on its own motion for a group of proposed ratepayers who are in opposition or object.
But in looking through this, and doing a little legwork on it, it seems though we're putting the cart before the horse, and what we should do first is should proceed forward to create a sewer district and do what we need to as far as that before we go forward with the next step as far as talking about funding. I mean, to kind of taking a whole bunch of steps together where the people who are going to be in the sewer district don't know who they are and don't know what their responsibilities are before we're going forward with a resolution for authorizing up to $40 million.
So the question is, what's the benefit to passing a bond resolution before the district is formed as opposed to forming a district and then voting on a bond resolution?
Grant money, exactly. It's money that's there now. And we want to tap into it.
That's the reason it's being considered now. There's a good deal of qualifying language within the borrowing resolution that deals with it being null and void if 12A or 12.
So both of these things take significant amount of time, and if you really wanted to sort of, expedite as much as possible, you have parallel tracks, and, we could start working on the district now if we wanted to
But
shorten that time.
But it would only impact the people who are in these districts.
right, but exactly, and the point on that is that the people don't know everyone who's going to be in the district. They don't know what their anticipated financial burden and responsibilities are going to be upon creation of that district.
So that information is in the report that's been disseminated to the lake groups that have been sharing it with the people in the community. So,
Well,
but there will be more.
that's a big presumption that 230 some odd homeowners would have an understanding and a good understanding as to what their responsibilities would be upon enactment of a sewer district.
But
But it's been something that's been under discussion for a while, ever since the 2021
But
DEP
Rich, are you
studies.
proposing, like, we do all the work to form the district first, and then everything's in sequence, and then we go after the grant money?
Yeah.
Why does that, the residents in that district will still not have all the details? I mean, they don't have to go ahead until everything's together.
Right, but at least they should have an idea as far as the educational component of it, if nothing else, who's going to be a member, who are going to be members of the sewer district and what their responsibilities are going to be.
Sorry.
It's not practical to
I believe
getting these sequential.
It's not practical, then why did we wait since 2021 to move forward on it? Why is there another seemingly exigent circumstance surrounding granting? Securing grants that June. In other words, here we are in April and we have to move for $40 million in June.
So I can answer.
are we at risk of losing an opportunity for certain grant money that may not be available next year?
Potentially.
Who's indicating that we're
So,
gonna lose?
but to answer Rich's question about why haven't we done anything since 2021?
I'm not saying not anything, but we haven't moved forward to create a sewer district.
I'll answer that question. So in 2021 was when the lake studies were performed by New York City DEP or by the engineers hired by the New York City DEP.
Right.
Right, we got the results back in 2021.
Okay.
In 2022, discussions were started when I became supervisor. Okay, what do we do now? We have these studies that say that the water quality is getting bad. There's potential impact to aquifers that actually impacts more than the Lakes District and the New York City drinking water supply. So what do we do about it? East of Hudson Watershed Corporation awarded Woodard and Current to do the feasibility studies. And that's what they did in 2022, in 2023. And we had, the Lakes committees, we've had meetings, we have Zoom calls. There was information being shared with their own meetings that they would have.
Mhm.
And in 2023 was when we actually started learning about the grant opportunities. And we applied for the DEC grant last year. We applied for the WIA grant. We were not successful in getting them. We learned that there is a DEC DEP agreement that gives us more money. And we also learned that there's Westchester County funds available. So that all happened in 2023.
Okay, so that's last year.
Right.
So here's my question. is there any risk that anyone outside the potential boundaries of the sewer district will ever be responsible to pay any of the money in their taxes, that tax base, anybody outside the sewer district be responsible for creating, paying for, funding in any way in their tax money, that sewer treatment plant or any of the infrastructure that has to go in as a result?
No,
If they're granted an out of district connection, then yes, but if not, then no.
No, people can opt in. No, I understand that. But what I'm saying is, and what I want people to understand is that if we proceed, right, we can only then apply to bond for the 40 million if the other factors under 12A come into place. That's one of the factors, correct?
Right.
And, right, and if that doesn't happen, then we're not borrowing the money.
And
We're not bonding
we're not
for the money.
borrowing-
We're not
borrowing-
bonding for the
We're
money.
not bonding.
We're not taking the
borrowing.
bonds. We're not going out into the market.
But we're not doing that. That isn't the plan anyway.
No, not now.
Grants. Yeah.
Well, it's grants. We're not, the thing that I'm trying to clarify for people out there that are listening is that it's not gonna show up on their tax bill for something
Oh,
that
no.
they don't get
No.
to take advantage of, right? So people need to understand that. So the only way that this funding resolution is only a step to say, we have a funding source, like in the other applications that we had to make for grants. We have to show some other funding source in order to complete the application. It's a stepping stone. And the idea is that in that step, we're hopefully getting a majority, if not all of that money. But the other side of it is that even if we do get the grant money, whatever's left over to pay for in that project will solely be the burden of those in the district that is created and not those outside the district.
Right.
Is that correct? Council?
It is correct. I agree.
What happens if we don't create a sewer district now?
Then the bond language already says that you can't draw anything under this.
Well, look what I highlighted on the screen. I mean,
Yeah,
Basically-
if you don't form the districts. It's right up front and
Yeah, it
top
becomes.
of page 2 here.
Right, you have to, what happens if, I mean, we're going on the premise that we have to, the first thing, and we're doing it all together, $40 million and creation of a sewer district. Accepted for this discussion is that we have to create a sewer district imminently. What happens if we don't?
Then we
Well,
don't bond.
so I think.
What is, right, what is, so. This is the lake communities, which are certain residents in town, right? Private lakes, right?
Mhm.
Private lakes in certain parts of the community to create a sewer district. What would happen if we didn't create a sewer district?
And we couldn't apply for the grant.
And
Right,
we're not putting out to bond for $40 million. It's
Right.
over.
And the water quality continues to degrade.
Well, that's not
Well,
that's not what he's saying. He wants to know what happens.
Couldn't execute any grant funding agreements, couldn't issue the bond.
right.
are we under any legal obligation to do so? Is there any health issue? Have we been hit with anything by Westchester County Board of Health or anything else that if we
No.
don't create this right now?
Not at this point, with the exception of some septic systems that are.
But the septic
They're
systems
private.
that have issues and have failed, aren't those individual homeowners who are responsible for taking care of their own individual septic systems on
Yes.
their individual homes?
That's correct.
So under the law, are individual homeowners responsible for ensuring that their septic systems are safe and don't create an environmental hazard in the adjacent lake or whatever it is?
You're required to comply with the Westchester County, New York State sanitary code with respect to the operation of the systems. Any owner of the system has.
Although it's not enforced, from what I hear.
Well, it's,
You said. it,
it's-
but,
there may be some of that, and then there's just the practicality that you don't always know which ones are failing. There are some that are obviously failed and some that are not obviously failed, so.
So let's
So
say
the folks
that,
that have been,
Yeah.
looking at this and looking at water quality issues and everything, said that the shortest way to stop the degradation of the water, which ends up in the New York City water supply and all that,
Well,
And our
not just,
aquifers is-
not just the New York City water
Yeah,
supply,
our own
it's all connected.
It's all the
The
aquifers, so,
aquifers
yeah.
Are all a part of the Lewisboro community, and if we don't take action, then we have the potential for impacting our entire community.
No, but do we, right, I hear what you're saying, as a general premise, I can't argue with that. But what I'm saying is, that we have any idea as to how much out of the potential 230, 240 homeowners who are gonna become part of the district have failing septic systems? Because let's say for sake of argument, 95% of the homeowners have done what they're supposed to do to keep their private septic system up to date and not creating any environmental issue. And there's roughly a handful of people who have failing septic systems and haven't addressed it, are creating the problem for the overwhelming majority of the people who do, who have kept up their own individual septic systems as they're required to under the law.
Well,
So now we're bonding $40 million. And we don't know the scope of the problem. Aside from that, generally water quality would be going down. But we haven't identified the scope of the issue and whether it could be rectified in any way aside from borrowing $40 million.
But we're not borrowing 40
We're not-
million.
Well, potentially we are, and we're creating
No,
a
we're not.
district, but we're also creating a district for the private communities who on their own, have they undertaken any type of assessment or evaluation as to how many people in their private communities have failing septic systems? They have associations, right?
So
There's
you're-
the associations, for example, as associations, you pay dues and you have a responsibility to take care of the lake, the private lakes, right? Do they do anything to find individual homeowners or assess to see what the scope of the issue is?
But
So-
Rich, there are no sewer police, and they're not obligated to go in and check their neighbor's
Walk on
septic.
somebody's property and
And
go.
some of
inspect
them, some people who live in some of the lake areas live on literally postage stamp sized properties with holding tanks as opposed to full-blown septic systems.
Right.
And, they have to be pumped differently. There's people with large pieces of property, people with postage sized piece of property, they all have different obligations, they all have different types of systems there. And some of them, on the smaller pieces of property are not gonna be able to put in what may be required because it's not gonna fit, because those houses were never built as full-time residences in the beginning, and they've developed into such.
Well, absolutely
So
true.
what this does is that if we create the sewer district, if we eventually get to creating a sewer district, then all those problems will be resolved because then everyone will be on the sewer. And then that resolves the issue of having to police your neighbor as to whether or not they're pumping their tank. And I don't believe that the town has the resources to go out and enforce the code as much as we would like to. And there's no other way to do it other than, when you hire the septic company to come in and pump your septic, there's documentation that they file with the Department of Health that shows that you had your septic system pumped on a regular basis. What this does is, and you and I discussed this earlier, and I understand where you're coming from. But what I'm saying is that 40 million in that bond resolution isn't being spent, and we're not going out to bond unless the sewer district is created and all the pieces fall into place.
So let's.
And then if we don't get the grant and the project still costs $40 million, the burden then falls solely on the sewer district.
Except the
people.
people in the sewer district have no idea how much money they're ultimately gonna have to pay initially and on a going forward basis to do that.
But
And
nobody
the,
does.
and also, and
Well,
the,
it's- there's an estimate.
and the associations also, one of the things, as I understand it, they have bylaws, they have rules, they have regulations to regulate things like docks and regulate things like the use of the lake as far as different, right, boats and all those type of things. So they regulate the use of the lake for the health, safety and welfare of the
So
residents.
let me ask you this, Rich. So you're saying that after the studies were done by New York City DEP in 2021, all the discussions that were held in 2022 and 2023, you're saying stop all that and don't do anything.
No, I'm not saying that there's not an issue that has to be addressed. I'm trying to go through a process, and the best way to address it, the first thing, there's been no identification of how much of the potential members of the sewer district are impacting and causing the issue. And if it's a disproportionate amount by a few number of homeowners, no process has gone through. It's just, okay, let's create a district. The people who are gonna be in that district have no idea for certain who they are. They have no idea what their costs are gonna be over initially
Yes,
and
but
over
I'm saying
cost
they
of time.
do know who they are, and they do know. the
Yeah,
costs.
so let me ask you this, has anybody gotten an email from any resident who said we'd like you to create a sewer district?
Yes,
Sure.
that,
Now,
the
I know-
Lakes Coalition.
Not the Lakes
was-
Coalition, I'm
no,
talking
no, no.
about I'm not talking about a council or anything, I'm talking about from any individual resident who's gonna become a member of this district and say, for example, like we're talking about, I have a financial burden, I can't afford to update my septic, I'd like to create a sewer district in the community because that'll help to share the financial burden among all the people that are lake residents.
There's a potential for a septic maintenance district in Lake Kitchewan. And we have folks there, 187 parcels were identified.
Okay, and how much it can be, what's the cost gonna be?
It's in the engineering report, I don't know off the top of my head, $685 a year. Approximately.
And what about,
And
and
for the
also that
wastewater
would,
district, it was about 1,400 per year.
that's for the sewer district of the.
That's for the sewer district that we're talking about. And then this needs to be approved, correct, Greg, by the New York State Comptroller.
This
As well.
information may well need control.
So-
Right.
So you have, so you have an initial, say over 10 years, you're talking about what, $5,000-6,000?
So let me-
Right,
so
and if you had to,
this is
and
what I'd
and
like
by
to do.
contrast,
Yeah.
how much would it cost to upgrade or fix a
Yeah.
septic? $5,000 or
So-
$10,000, I don't know.
Yeah,
What
so
would
I'm
it be,
glad you're
right?
bringing up these concerns. So this is what I like to do. I'd like for us to go ahead and vote on this. And then what I'd like for you to do is maybe participate in one of the Lakes Coalition meetings and discuss this with them. And bring to them your concerns and then hear from the folks there.
Yeah, and there's lots of great data in the actual reports.
Yeah, have you read the report that I
379 pages.
provided to the board?
The basic data is talking about there's an issue as far as degradation of water quality in the lakes, right?
Correct. And
Okay,
then
I'm not,
identified the parcel.
I'm not disputing that. It's a general premise, I'm
Okay.
not disputing it.
So, but your thought is, or your premise is that we shouldn't do anything about this. We
No,
shouldn't, as a board, or as a town.
No,
take
that's
the
not what,
lead
that's not what I'm saying. I'm
in
saying legally,
responding
if
to the
we,
residents of the potential district.
I'm saying we should first create the district so they know who's part of it and what the costs are going to be and know what they're getting into. And if they're in favor of it, then they know what they're getting into and can move forward on it.
So.
The same way with
So
something
you
like
create-
overage, when
so
you're
we-
creating a district,
Yeah.
everybody in the community, there should be an educational component that everybody who's gonna be part of it understands exactly what they're gonna get into
Right.
now and on a going forward basis. I
So
mean,
in
that's what communities are
So
supposed to
going
do.
forward, we don't know if these funds are gonna be available. They're available now. We haven't received a commitment, but they are available now.
But you don't know if they're not gonna be available. And you're talking about, I think
We
you
don't.
total with
It's-
12 out of 13 out of 40, so so about a third of the potential dollars.
40 million, no, total of 40 million.
Right, and you said this 13, you said the grants you were talking about were about 12 or 13, right?
There's 7.5 million from New York State EFC, there's 13 million from the DEP contract with New York City, with New York State DEC. There's 10 million from Westchester County on a settlement with DEP. And then there's another 10 million from the DEC Water Quality Improvement Program.
That's
So
the
we
total
can
pot,
repeat.
that's not available just
That's
for us, is
total.
it?
So we have to apply for DEC and we applied to New York State EFC. Those are the two we have
And
to
what's the
apply.
maximum that we can secure if we were successful?
It's 10 million. It's spelled out right here, this section right here of the document that you have in front of you. I can zoom in here. I lost my, second.
So the study here again has tremendous amount of data, including surveys that were done with the residents, asking them, for example, if you ever had contaminants discovered in your well and so. you know,
Again, not an issue, I'm
that-
not taking it issue, that at all.
Sorry, just finish. If you lived in the district, you would have been certainly been confronted with these surveys. We had volunteers, basically walking around the neighborhood and knocking on doors.
Mhm.
It's not a shock to anybody. The.
What's not a
report-
shock to anybody?
The fact that this project is in the making right now.
And you benefit from this
and
also, right, Dan? Because you're a member of this community, so that's.
I am a member of this.
So you'll benefit directly from the sewer
I
project.
will.
And creating the
I
district.
will have unlimited benefits. It'll be huge.
No, I'm just saying, okay, so you have part of the information as a resident and being in the Lake community.
So
So,
okay, that's fine. Also the study has multiple scenarios, one of which is like, shall we just go around and look to repair whichever septics that we can repair? And, you know, the conclusion was that was not going to be an adequate solution.
Why?
I don't have that, and I could find that and provide it to you. But, you know, a lot of people did a lot of work on this, and, you know, I think it has to have some, we have to have some respect for that, and at least.
A total
And-
respect, a total
and-
respect.
And again, this is
and
not
respect
binding,
for the
right? We're not,
Communities that
yeah.
participated in that work.
this is a step, I mean, we as a board approved applying for this grant last year. And now you're saying you don't want us to approve.
No, what I'm saying is, what I'm saying we should do,
Well,
as
that's-
the overwhelming majority of municipalities do as far as the process, you should first create the sewer district.
Okay,
And you go through the process, have a public hearing, create a sewer district, identify the people who are gonna be part of it. And
so
then
this,
after you create the sewer district, as most municipalities do first, then go after the funding for it.
this is the process that has been under review and has been designed since last year.
Not to create the district, and not to create the district and go for the funding at the same time with the June deadline, and then talking about an actual circumstance for something that's been in the process going back to last year.
Do you think that the formation of the district would have a better chance if you had funding approved prior?
Do I think what?
That the formation of the district will succeed if there's funding to pay for it?
Well,
Yes or
again,
no? It's a yes or no answer.
yes or no? The answer is I don't know, but
Okay.
what should first be done is create a district where people understand that.
All right,
what
so
they're
let's-
part of,
yeah.
and what
I would like
you
to
asked
go
me a
ahead.
question, so I'm gonna
I'd
answer.
like to go ahead and move that we vote on the bond resolution. I understand you have some misgivings on it, but.
Well, not misgivings,
It's in front- it's in
nobody's
front of
made
us.
the argument why we can't create, like other municipalities do. Create a sewer district first, have a public hearing to create that sewer district first, and then proceed forward after it's created. And the people who are gonna be part of it understand what they're part of, and then go after funding for it. The basis for doing this now in the supposed exigent circumstances are that some of the funding may not be there. But then the
So why
flip
don't
side
we-
is that it may be there, it may
Right.
all be there.
So why don't we determine if the funding is available before we form the districts?
Yeah, and I would take issue with no one having made the case. I've said that it's beneficial to move in parallel on these things in order to make for a schedule that will work. Please,
So we have
go
a
ahead.
motion. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Okay, so here's a question. The resolution's on here, but there is no discussion about. I mean, Greg, what does it take to create the sewer district, and why isn't that on simultaneously? Why aren't we developing and putting it down for a public hearing before?
First thing you do is a map letter report from a design consultant. as
Which
your
costs money.
Basic, foundational document, say here are the properties, here are the district boundaries, and here's the proposed set of improvements.
Right, and how would we go about getting one?
We have a proposal from Woodard and Curran for a map plan report.
Okay, and how
And
does
we
that get
need
paid?
funds for it. And the funds would come, the intent is to get the Westchester County WQIP settlement funds and use that to pay for it.
And the only way that we could do that is if we approve the funding source.
No,
This is
WQIP
different.
is separate. Yeah, I mean, there's a yeah, so
When do we know if that funding comes through?
we're right now, we're waiting on the county to set up the meeting. It's gotta be the Northern Westchester Watershed Coalition has to present, I have to present to them our request. There's also, North Salem also has the project, so it's gonna be myself and Supervisor from North Salem presenting to the Northern Westchester Watershed Coalition, who then will request that the Westchester County Board of Legislators approve disbursement of those funds to our projects.
And what if we don't get approved?
Then we go to Plan B. We have to find out, there's actually additional funds that are coming from DEC next year that'll bring that the 12 and the 12.5 million. from the 2017 DC contract, that's being bumped up to about 16 million.
Where would the sewer, where would the,
And yeah, and if you need extra money, you can borrow, and it's against the district, yeah.
where would the sewer infrastructure be built?
The plant itself, we were looking at the recycling center.
So it hasn't
That's
been
what-
determined. Is that gonna be part of this?
It's part of the report, and this shouldn't be new information, it's just part of the report, and this was discussed in prior board meetings.
Well, the recycling center was discussed and Lewisboro Elementary School property was discussed. And I know that they.
In the
looked at
original
the-
report, it was an option to
Right.
do the Louis
Well, but
Elementary
that-
School, that's not
It
our
wasn't an
problem.
option. It was an option. It was just an idea of potential sites. It wasn't
Right.
that it was actually an option, just that it
Right.
was a potential
Right,
location. The only thing that we do own is the recycling center.
correct, and
No.
to get these grants, they want to see the plant on town property.
I understand that. But Lewisboro Elementary may be being sold.
Well, that's not even, that's
So-
off the
so
table, actually.
Might I
They
suggest,
changed their mind.
this is
Stay.
kind of a
School
big
district?
conversation here.
Yeah, they're not.
It is, which is why,
Right, can I finish?
yeah.
But we
Sorry.
didn't finish before you
You're right.
started.
You're right.
So can you say that again, please?
So your question was, is LES being sold? And the answer is, latest I heard is that it's not being sold.
So they
The
changed.
school's gonna keep, they never changed anything, they
No,
just
there was a
decided,
discussion that they may be something.
no. No, I had approached them about potentially
I
conveying
thought
that
they
property.
discussed it at a
There
meeting.
was a finance, they were going to revisit it. They had looked at it in previous discussions through a finance committee and they were discussing whether to open it back up again. or not.
Okay, so it was a discussion. It wasn't
Right.
anything that was actually being,
No.
okay,
Years back, and then
understood.
the latest discussion is that they want to keep the property and figure out what to do with it.
Okay.
So can I suggest, these are all good subjects, maybe we wanna, it's time to have another work session on this. But this resolution, if we pass it, does not obligate us to spending money or doing anything in particular. It allows certain processes to start. And we can go address and look at all the questions that everybody has here.
Well, this is the same thing. I think there's just a tremendous contrast, which makes it clear, like with the culvert is a great use of the process. So in other words, we had a grant, we knew how much it's gonna cost, it's gonna be a wash. And so infrastructure improvement totally makes sense. There is a wash.
It's a different word than wash because it's a.
Oh, sorry, that's right, sorry, yes. Here there were so many issues here where it's like, if you build it, they will come. If we apply for $40 million, we'll find a way to utilize it up to that
Well,
amount.
if we don't get the $40 million, then we're not gonna pursue forming a district and taking the next steps. Simple as that, project goes away. And then, we can
And
consider
that's
something
why-
else,
That's why,
consider a septic maintenance district
That's
or smaller community septic
Right.
systems.
and that's why this
Potentially.
resolution is structured to actually recognize that is the process, because it says you can't actually draw on it until the district is formed. So it's.
So then
right
why
in-
not create the district first?
But you're not getting my point. It's like, they know that you have to do that and do this. And you have to work on both at the same time, so they're.
Why do you? Why do you have to
It
work on
takes
both
time
at
to
the
create
same
a
time?
district. I mean, it doesn't happen overnight, and
Okay, so
right
then why,
now.
so then why don't we?
Right
start
now,
creating
we
this-
have,
then
let me
why-
finish, right now, we have funds available to us that we can potentially tap into that are waiting for us, the 12.5 million is there for us, right? The 7.5 million that once we get this submitted, we didn't get it last year because we were missing this document. Maybe we'll get it this year. And then you have the other two $10 million, there's a DEC grant, which we didn't get last year. Maybe we'll get it this year.
So we have a
But if
pretty
we don't
good
get it, then we don't
possibility,
move forward.
so if everything goes well, we have a pretty good possibility of getting a third and theoretical possibility of getting more.
Correct. Yeah, and then we leave it up to the folks in the district to decide whether they want to move forward with creating the district,
And
But-
if they don't create the district, then we don't
do anything.
do
Do we,
anything.
do we have any idea what the total cost would be to build this?
$40 million, that's the estimate.
Well, that's the amount of money we're seeing.
That's the cost of the project. which is why we're looking to obtain $40 million.
Well, I think we should create the district first.
Complex projects like this that have several moving interlocking parts which are mutually dependent on each other. If you try to run them sequentially, they're gonna take forever. It's gonna take 15 years or something. You know, I mean, running things in parallel is a good practice in this case. It may not feel comfortable to you, but it really makes a lot of sense.
Put the cart before the horse. That's what doesn't make sense to me.
Well, it's not putting the
It's not a
cart before
horse-cart
the horse, it's, yeah,
So,
but,
okay, borrow money for something for a district that hasn't been created.
We're not borrowing it yet. It's
Well-
just we're putting together the structure that's going to allow for that.
And what part of what allows for it was that we didn't even have a discussion about taking town property, which it has to be on, and doing something with that. Maybe the people at who live down the hill here on the lake would have a problem with sewer infrastructure project being built down the street from Truesdale. Maybe they'd have a concern about that. Maybe they'd want to know about that first before then, oh, we set up the structure. Oh, what are you talking about? You're building a whole sewer infrastructure plant up the street from the lake in Truesdale. Maybe some people have an issue with it. Maybe they all think it's a great idea.
yeah, I
Well-
mean, we have a wastewater plant in Oak Ridge surrounded by residents, and have you taken a look at it? Have you seen it?
What's the plan?
Middle of the residential district, and it doesn't look like a sewer plant.
Okay, well, that's one that's been there for a couple of decades.
Right.
And that was after the town maybe, stepped up and took it over from a
Right,
builder
so
that
again,
went belly up.
so again, your bottom line is that you don't want to move forward with this.
No, my bottom line is I want to
Now you
move
brought
forward
up
with
another
creation.
issue.
No, my bottom line is moving forward with creation of a sewer district.
Okay,
Do
so
we,
the,
do we then just, again, throwing way out there, you create a sewer district on town property, right?
well, no, the
then-
sewer district is
No,
a wider area, right?
No,
It's-
but the sewer treatment plant
Mhm.
technically would be on town property, right? So then who maintains it? Are we then gonna have a Department of Public Works? An engineer? Like,
We'll have an operator like we do for Oak Ridge and Wild Oaks. Plant operator. We're not in that business. We could
No.
hire somebody.
I
to
don't wanna
do
be in
that.
that business again. I don't think.
Well,
we should
we're
be in the
not
business of running
operating.
Water treatment plants or sewer treatment plants as it is,
Right,
but we have one. We don't need another.
to sewer
Well,
plants,
two.
yeah.
I mean,
No, we only own.
we should learn some of the lessons from Oak Ridge and not go down.
and
Roads
one
go quickly.
location.
Okay,
So I
so,
would move that we take vote on this bond resolution, because I don't know that our conversation's gonna go
right,
any further than it has so far. So,
Well, it looks like the bond, just I see that the bond resolution has to be adopted by 4 out of 5, so if 2 don't vote for it, then it goes down. Yes.
sorry,
It's 2/3 majority.
two
It's
thirds.
a 2/3 majority. Three would not carry this resolution.
Okay.
We need-
Needs 4, right?
so,
Shoot it down, but we're not getting anywhere. I'm happy to continue, with all of the elements here, but I think it's crazy to just wait for everything to come together.
so is that, did you motion?
I move that we authorize the bond resolution for $40 million of bonds for the construction of a wastewater treatment plant. As for the Lake Wakabuk, Lake LeBron, Lake Oskalita, and Truesdale Lake sewage system as presented.
I'll second. Discussion,
Just to reiterate, I think we should go through a process of creating a sewer district first.
Is this a roll call? I think it's a roll call. Okay.
okay, Rich,
No.
Mary,
Mary Shaw, I.
Tony, aye. Andrea,
I'm having a tough time with this one. The thing with this, as opposed to things that we've discussed in the past, is that the project is something tangible. It's something that I can see, it's defined, it's got parameters. It's not all over the place. Ask Dan first.
Dan.
Dan Welsh, aye.
There's your back to you.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda, we have. This is a bar resolution for pay,
Sorry.
resolution for borrowing $320,000 for paving. We had discussed this, at a prior, when we were, discussing all the projects that would require, borrowing. And we never actually approved. We talked about during budget, discussions in December, we talked about, restoring the budget line. And
The
borrowing.
180 and the plus the 320.
Correct.
So moved.
Second,
Discussion?
Roll call again?
Is that a roll call? Yeah. Okay, Rich?
Aye.
Mary?
Mary Shaw, aye.
Tony, aye?
Andrew Rendo, aye.
Dan Welsh, aye.
Okay. Okay, next we have, suppose this. This is the,
Accepting highway department N, I think, right?
highway department materials bid, just looking through the, second, the agenda packet, just to see what is there.
I think that this had to do with winter. Right, this had to do with the winter, asphalt. Purchase?
There's one bid that I don't know that it's been requested.
Right.
I don't know that it's been requested, but there's one bid that will likely be asked to be rejected and rebid because.
Oh, that's right.
The seal.
one Set of materials came in, it was not labeled to specification and it was inadvertently opened and it should fit open.
Oh, that's right. I remember.
So
Right, so I think we have to send it out to rebid, right?
I guess, I don't know that the highway is specifically asked for that, because I think they were looking for a potential piggyback on Westchester County paving, but I don't know that that's happened. So you can certainly award what's on here. I don't see that there's a request for that. I'm guessing that's going to be forthcoming. In all likelihood, but there's a chance that there's a piggyback available for another kind of place for the last. Is it not?
Yeah, I'm trying to see, I don't know if John Winter is here on Zoom by any chance. I thought I had the
Yeah.
details of that, no.
There's been memo in the backup. I'm
I
not
mean-
sure. I'll come-
See.
Yeah, let me see if I can find Cheryl's highway material, here it is. Yeah, this is, the results. There was one item, winter mixed blacktop, that we could not accept.
Right.
So result letter. This is the letter. I thought this was in the agenda packet. Maybe it's. Please follow, six, okay, that's just the letter. The letter says the highway department recently went out to bid for highway materials. The bid opening was held on March 26th. At the townhouse, I reviewed the bids and attached the copy for your reference. So the attachment are the bid results. And we have, let's see. Is Clove in the county inspect?
And there's 5 or 6 different categories of bids. That are in there.
There's no bids. Let me see if there's a.
I think that he didn't put in. The one that we have to be rejected. He has by 2 units concrete, which is asphalt. He has by asphalt FOB. Liquid, crushed stone. Sand. Catch basin. Guide rail posts. So those are the ones you'd be awarding. And if they wanna come back and we did we went to pay. So they can ask for that.
And ask-
Results are attached to, yeah.
There's a big number right on there. It's got everything, the bidders that were accepted or that were recommended for the particular category. Some of them you just can get bids on. So you can authorize the award per that memo of the items that are recommended.
Is that sufficiently specific for that purpose?
It's the memo.
Well, there's-
Okay.
Yeah,
All the-
is there, everything is spelled out and I thought this was in the packet. Let's see.
I'll adopt the motion as specified by council.
So,
Discussion? And I'll just say per the highway superintendent's recommendation.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was
Which-
trying to get them on Zoom to
Yeah.
answer your questions, but
Okay. Do you want me to modify the motion and include that? That's fine.
good John finally.
It's not talking to baby.
well, I think I mean, I think we
Motion
can,
and a second.
the motion in this second, so, discussion.
As modified.
Right.
By
Councilman Scarlett.
Councilman Swear about approval of the
Okay.
highway superintendent.
All in favor?
No,
Aye.
A roll call.
Mary Shaw, I.
Tony, aye.
Marjorie Randall, aye.
Dan Walsh, aye.
Okay. All right, so next we have public comment. So would anyone here in the room would like to speak? Make a comment?
Michelle goes.
Good evening.
David Hamlin, you have 3 minutes.
3 minutes. Okay. I wrote everything down. Michelle Smith. I'm from Vista Hamlet. Okay, so my concern I want to discuss this evening is for the safety in this town, and is it even truly safe? As you are aware, midnight last Thursday, I was woken out of a deep sleep to a sinking gut feeling from my husband that someone has broken into the Farmer's Grind and Copia, and state troopers were on scene making sure that the store was safe. This is the second time this has happened in 4 years, and it's unacceptable. The first time was in 2020. We were only open for 8 months, and what a way to take the wind out of our sails if COVID didn't do that already. It happened at 3 a.m., but my husband and I walked into a broken door and a trash store at 6 a.m. as we were getting ready to what we thought to open for the day. They took a stone rock from the property and threw it straight through our door. Never found the people responsible. Later that evening, they hit 3 other places in Vista. This time, it was 11:03. And the only reason we were able to be there on scene at midnight was because the tenant above the grind heard the glass break and was terrified. To think I was only there 2 hours prior is a very unsettling feeling. Then, while state police were with us until 3 a.m., Salem Liquors on 35 gets broken into because they know that no one's around. The next day, I heard Vista Wine and Spirits was broken into the week prior. Why weren't any of these small businesses notified? It felt like as if it's a secret. Is it to make everyone feel safe? Because it's not working. This does not make small businesses like myself want to stay here, and it probably doesn't want people to come here and start something new. This does not happen in other towns that surround us, and I'm tired of having to constantly fight for our place here. So not only has this happened to me as a business owner, but also someone who lives in this town. Last year, March, 3 a.m., my car was stolen right from my driveway while my family was sleeping. And I live in Vista, right down the street from my store. People responsible were never found. Car was found 4 months later, trashed in some junkyard. Having something taken from you that you work so hard for over and over again is beyond violating. So we need more patrol in our hamlets, especially overnight. We need a plate reader on 123, maybe some more lighting. I'm not really sure the answer, but something needs to change.
As a small business owner, why do I not feel safe? Why am I now nervous to be there after hours? I'm thinking, is someone watching me? What is this going to happen again? My shop is my second home, and so far I don't feel safe in either location anymore. Thank you.
Anybody else here? How about on Zoom?
I think, Jen
Oh,
wants to
Jen,
speak.
sorry. Okay.
Hi, good evening. Jen Cipriano, Vista. Just to echo what Michelle just spoke about, we were a new family living above the what is now the Farmer's Grind, and I was awoken by a crash and looked out the window and saw the Vista Market being broken into and screamed my head off because that's what you learn to do in Bridgeport. And they ran and fled, and actually I was able to save them from getting anything stolen from, I guess. But we do live in a quiet, dark town, and I think we are now pegged as a prime target, and it needs to be addressed, and it can be addressed with very maybe not so simple measures, but there are ways, like with plate readers on the main road. It's been done in Connecticut. We are a straight shot to a major highway. It's so easy to get in and out of our community. And this idea that we're the safest town, and that just doesn't happen in our town has got to stop, because it does. If you go on Nextdoor or on social media, every other week someone is saying, I have someone on the Ring camera trying to break into our car, and it's in our community. And along with all the other trials and tribulations that you deal with trying to run a business in this town, on top of it, you have this sort of blow, and it does, as Michelle said, make it really hard sometimes to want to open the door the next day. So any kind of help you could offer us in terms of maybe forming a task force to try to address some of these things, we would greatly appreciate it. And just the acknowledgement that there is an issue and that everybody cares about it and that they want to see us stay. I hope that you've reached out to Vista Wines. I hope you've reached out to Salem Liquors. They were also hit. And I can't even imagine. There's probably numerous other businesses over the last year that have been hit in our town. But no one really say a few things about it on social media, and that's about it. We don't hear much from our town. So we would just really appreciate all the help you can try to give us. Thank you.
Anybody else here? How about on Zoom, Jen?
Yes. Barbara Mangione, I'm asking you to mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I just wanted to bring up something that was discussed for quite some length during new business, which was the $40 million bond borrowing resolution. I want to thank Rich. He put forward some very concise ideas tonight, some of which I was thinking of myself. And as you know, I wrote to you about some of my concerns. There has to be a much more meticulous approach to these kind of issues. And it just seems like, and this is not the first time the board has done this, where we're forced to make a large monetary decision in a very short amount of time. If this was on the table last year, my question is, why wasn't this discussed last year? Why are we 2 months before a deadline saying, we have to do this now? It shouldn't be, a monetary decision should not be made like that. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's not transparent. It's certainly not transparent to the people of the lake communities either. I found that some of the remarks directed during Rich when he was trying to explain himself and why he felt very important that a district should be formed were a little passive aggressive and just a little disrespectful. My other concern is, say you do get these grants, say you get $40 million. What if the same thing happens like Oak Ridge? The money doesn't come through to 1 to 3 years from now, and the cost of the project has doubled, tripled, whatever. Who pays for that? Where does that money come from? I know as someone who does not have the perks of being a Lake resident, I don't want to pay for it. I'd like to see something in writing that any of the costs that are going to be incurred by this project are going to be borne by the lake residents because they are the ones who benefit from the lakes. So that's number one. And then just very quickly, just to build on what Jen said, we have problems. We have safety issues in this community, just like every other community. We need to do a better job. We're working with not the biggest force. And you know, like she mentioned about Vista, over in Golden's Bridge last year, less than an eighth of a mile from my house, 2 homes were broken into within 6 months during the day. Okay, so these were break-ins during the day where people went into someone's house. And I have to tell you, as a resident, that scares the you know what out of me. I don't want to be home and have someone trying to bang down my door or go out quickly and find that my house has been robbed. So we have to do something better. I think we're a little constrained by what we're working with, but I think it would also be helpful that more information is put out there when these things happen right away. I found out about the robberies from my friends because one of them was my friend that was robbed. I did not hear about it from the town at all. So I think that's something else. I think when things are going on, including break-ins, store robberies, or even attempted car break-ins, we need to know that. We need a better line of communication from the town. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Barbara. Beth's iPhone, if you could state your complete name, please.
Janet, can you hear me?
Who is this? Beth?
Hi, I'm sorry, Janet, it's Beth Uretsky, Golden Bridge. I apologize.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So thank you, Barbara Mangione, for basically just stating almost everything, and I took notes here, almost stating everything I was going to say. First of all, I cannot believe the conversation that took place regarding this whole water thing for $40 million. $40 million is not pocket change. I don't care where the money's coming from. I don't care if it's coming from state, county, or our own back pockets. The way Rich was spoken to, I agree with Barbara, was somewhat passive aggressive. A comment was made that you can't put a cart before the horse. And the response was that it's not that they're being parallel, that the situation is being handled parallel. Well, carts don't run parallel to horses either. And the fact that when the system this is not being created in a well-organized, methodical, systematic way, it sounds like you're basically throwing a bunch of mud against the wall and just gonna see what sticks. That's not the way you run a government. That's not the way you run the local town. And I really expect more from this town board. And Barbara's right. There is a lack of transparency and I agree with her. Something needs to be put in writing that the rest of the homeowners of this town are not going to be responsible. Apologies to Jen and Michelle for even having to deal with this in town. Nobody should have to be made, no resident, no business owner should have to be made to feel that way at all. We do need a larger police force, and this has been an issue that has been discussed many times over. The amount of people in the police force now cannot handle this large area, be divided all over the place. And I think, again, the town board needs to readdress this whole area and this whole issue regarding the size of the police force. And lastly, the shopping center over by Acme needs to really be revisited as well. So there's a couple of things going on there. First of all, with Mercedes-Benz parking their cars there, which I understand must have been an okay thing by the landlords, it just looks awful when you pull in. So that needs to be addressed. And while we're speaking about things that look awful, the landscaping still needs to be addressed over by the electric parking of the vehicles. The whole thing still looks awful. at nighttime, which is obviously worse than during the day, but it still looks like you're driving past an amusement park, not electrical, vehicle chargers. The other thing was, I was at the Acme the other day, and they are claiming that the town is holding up the permits. I'm not sure if that is public information as to why that is happening. Maybe it's really not happening and they just gave me wrong information. But they claim that they are looking to move forward with their renovations, which the whole area desperately needs. There isn't much else in that area, commercially, other than that shopping center. And having an updated looking supermarket would certainly be beneficial. So thank you, that is all.
Thank you, Beth. Next, lease Leist.
Myself, I am a new resident here, but honestly, we bought our home in 1980 in South Salem. In 1990, we moved to Pound Ridge. I just moved back to South Salem 2 years ago. And frankly, I'm disappointed and to hear the break-ins, the people being robbed unnecessarily. It's awful. In Pound Ridge, we worked very, very hard with our police department and worked very, very hard to make sure that everyone was taken care of. We're not doing this here in Vista, not at all. It's a big disappointment. New Canaan has been really aggressive about reaching out to the community, letting them know 123 is a straight shot to the Merritt in 95. They will alert all their family members there to be wary, but their police department is strong. We are weak. And I think it would be a good opportunity for Vista to partner with New Canaan, Pound Ridge, or whomever to figure out why this is going on in this community. It happens all over. We know that, but we're not doing anything about it. Are you waiting for someone to get killed? Because that's what's going to come. People are allowed to carry now. They can get their gun licenses quite easily. And I think you're being negligent, totally negligent. And it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. So if we're short on police department, I was so disappointed to know that from 12 to 6 o'clock, we don't even have a police presence. You have to wait for the state police to come in. That doesn't happen in Pound Ridge, and it certainly doesn't happen in New Canaan. So we have to get a little bit better about minding our business and doing our business well. Because frankly, I'm thinking about moving back to Pound Ridge. I don't want to put up with this. This is not the way I want to live. And it's not fair to the children. It's not fair to the families. It's not fair for all these people that are paying the taxes to live here. And you as a town board have a responsibility about being transparent and letting everybody know this is going on. I've asked the people over here in Overlook Court, do we need to form a neighborhood watch? Maybe that's what we need to do. But you got to be better and you've got to do better because what you're doing now is not enough. And it's just a matter of time before someone gets killed. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Lise. Simone, I'm asking you to unmute.
Good evening. I also wanted to say that I agreed with Rich. I thought that he presented his case wonderfully. I'm sorry it fell on deaf ears. I don't understand with this $40 million grant that we're all going for, or some borrowing thing, when Oak Ridge got like peanuts compared to that. Nothing's been done as of yet. We never had a second opinion. The list goes on. For fear of becoming white noise and the water person, it's very disappointing. And I have absolutely, and love the lakes, not that I get to use them, no interest in paying for lakes when nobody has an interest in paying for Oak Ridge drinking water. Thank you, Rich, for again reminding me that Councilman Welsh benefits from this, like Sustainable Westchester. As far as the crime has been my business for 35 years. My father was a commissioner for the Crime Victims Board for the state of New York. My husband's a retired lieutenant, 20 years, NYPD, and I do criminal defense. Crime is up, no matter what the politicians say. And the Democratic administration has screwed our country because illegals are everywhere. And we've got problems. And if you think that we live in this little town and we're all safe, we're not. And it breaks my heart to hear Michelle and Jen come here begging for help. We have a very fine police department. I love our police department. Our chief is fabulous, but he can't do it without any kind of funding. We need more police presence. We need it at night, because if one police car gets tied up with a Dewey on the other side of town and somebody needs help and I'm in Vista, we have to wait for the state police to come from all the way on the other side. And even if they're racing here, you could be killed on this side of town before somebody gets here. You have to help the police so they can help us. I think it should be a priority. And maybe when you're borrowing 40 million, you throw a few million to our citizens that need to be protected in our town. Thank you.
Thank you, Simone.
Thank you.
Michael's iPhone, I'm asking you to unmute. No, we cannot.
I guess you can. Okay, hold on.
You sound like you're underwater. Do you want to hang up and try that? Okay. Glenn DeFavor, I'm asking you to unmute. Glenn DeFavor. Glenn, you're unmuted. Glenn, I'm asking you again. And Michael's iPhone just signed back on, so.
Okay. Back to Michael. Okay.
Michael, I'm asking you to unmute.
Okay.
We can hear you now. Hello?
He's muted again. I'm not very good at this whole Zoom thing. Can you
Okay,
guys
we
hear
can
me?
hear
Okay?
you. We
All
can.
right, it's going to mute. It thinks I'm in driving mode, so I'm sorry, everyone. I'm in my kitchen. Okay. So yeah, I was woken up as well.
Michael, can you say your name and hamlet?
Yes, Michael Goldstein. I'm a South Salem and Salem Liquors.
Hi, Michael.
Yes. So we were also woken up with the call. My phone was silent, so I woke up to my mom pounding on my door of my apartment where I live, and I thought I was being broken into. To be told, frantically that we were broken into at the store, and we went down and we saw the mess, and they stole the whole register, and it's really disheartening when you put your whole life into a family business and someone comes in and just tries to take what you do. And knowing that they're not caught, just it doesn't give us peace of mind at the store. And I think all the community should have been made aware that there were break-ins that night, and that maybe as a community we could have solved this with other people's cameras, or if they noticed something strange at home, it could have been someone local. We don't know, but there was no communication, and I think we should have talks about this, because crime is up all around, and it's not getting better. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Michael. Glenn, I'm gonna try you one more time to unmute.
Unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, it's going to take 30 seconds. Listening to this $40 million bond proposal, I'm having PTSD on the sidewalk proposal. Let's vote for it. And then after we get the money, we're going to decide on where it's going to go. It's really annoying when this present town board doesn't learn anything and they treat the people as stupid as they think we are. It just blows my mind. The learning curve for this town board is beyond imagination. And if it wasn't for Richard Sclaren having any kind of sense on how to do anything, it would just be a total disaster. Learn something. Tell the people what you want to spend the money on, and then maybe they'll get behind you. Other than that, shut your mouth and do a job that the people expect you to do. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Glenn. The next is a phone number, 482-858. If you could state your name and where you live, please.
Hi, Janet. It's Carol Cernak in South Salem.
Hi, Carol.
Hi. I'd just like to say that I also would like to thank Rich for taking the stance that he took. At almost every level, there's a lack of transparency, and I think that's what, some of you, if not all of you, have said that, that you would have is transparency. So thank you, Rich. I appreciate that. And I also am very disheartened by the break-ins and the lack of public awareness. If I didn't know some people that I know, I would never have known. I mean, it's just not it's not be on the lookout, be aware. I don't understand why this happens, and I don't understand how you don't feel like you felt it an emergency to let us know about the earthquake, but you don't let us know that 4 small businesses have been broken into over, a couple nights. I mean, it's just, it gives me an uneasy feeling to be a resident here, and my house wasn't even violated. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. That's it.
There's Sonia that wants to speak. Go ahead. Name and handle it in 3 minutes.
Linda Wilkenlow, and I lived on East Street in Vista for 53 years, and times have really changed. And I hope that you consider getting more safety for us down in Vista. Okay, thank you.
Excellent. Okay.
Someone else.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to get off, but I agree with Linda, and I won't tell you how many years I have lived in this town, unfortunately. And it's known probably all the way in Patagonia that between 11 o'clock at night and 7 in the morning, there are no police in Lewisboro. And it's real easy to get the heck out of there to Wilton, New Canaan, Richfield. And I have had, on the same night that Michelle's car was stolen, mine was tampered with, and mine has been tampered with many times where somebody tried to open the hood. I've had things missing in my house when I come home. I don't want to live here anymore because I don't trust opening my door. And if we can't have 24-hour police protection, we may as well not have any.
And just for the record, your name and hamlet?
My name is Carol, and I live in Lisbon,
Carol and Vista. Okay, thank you, Carol.
and I can't wait for the retribution. I've lived here a long time. I know a little bit about refugees here.
Thank you, Carol. Okay, next we have approval of claims. So I'd like to motion that we approve claims. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Polling of the board. I'll start with Dan.
I'm glad that, folks are bringing up the public security issue. We're definitely want to check in with the chief and, you know, obviously, you know, the most obvious thing is, you know, are we staffed for it? But I'd be interested to know also just in general, are there other best practices? And there was a mention made of plate readers, the communications issues. Also, a challenge, I'm thinking, because I hear that, you know, we want to let people know, but on the other hand, I'm on like mailing lists for just about every town in the county, and when there are break-ins and stuff, you'll see it in the newspaper, but I've never seen like towns issue, there's a break-in there, but you know, so maybe they should, I don't know, but you know, Adam's biting his hand over there. So no, okay. But anyway, in my personal experience, anyway, I haven't seen it, but maybe that's the right thing to do. So you know, we should take a good look at what we're doing and see if we can improve that and come back to the staffing and all that. So. Let's see, what else? Oh, that is for something else.
Composting?
There.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, just a note that in discussions on the bike pedestrian committee, we're talking about how to get the needle moving on Vista, and really it's all the hamlets too. And I threw out the idea that once we finish the town master plan, we really ought to consider doing hamlet master plans specific to the hamlets. Because they each have their own level of detail, and we can go much deeper. And then the town master plan is, you know, at a higher level and kind of an umbrella thing. But I would recommend that we look very closely at the possibility of doing master plans for the three hamlets, because I mean, we've got a lot of ideas floating out there, but if we can take what the community is doing and formalize that and get planners involved, we can then use that to start generating, you know, grant submissions and things like that. So just throwing that out there as a concept to follow up. That's enough for me.
Okay, thanks, Ed. Andrea?
So I agree. I think we need to get notice out soon to the residents when there's break-ins of this nature. It was delayed. I briefly had a conversation with Chief Alfano as liaison from the town board on this topic. I intend on having more. You know, I know that some people are, you know, on occasion question why we don't have a police department that is on staff 24 hours. Why the state police with 2 cars are the only source of police surveillance in the area after midnight. It's a good question. As far as the information coming to our police department in timely fashion, when the state police are on duty and they take the reports and they do the investigation. Recently, there's been a delay in conveyance of that information to our chief of police, no fault of his own. He's been working on it to try to get that back on track. There may come a point in time where we're going to have to revisit the conversation of having a 24-hour police department and what that cost will be to the taxpayers of the town. Because of course you can't have 24-hour police force without a cost to the town. As far as the $40 million bond resolution, I struggled with this decision. I spoke with Rich at length prior to the meeting tonight, and he and I were on the same page. And I read through it and I read through it, and the main reason, not the only reason, but the main reason why this time I voted in favor of a bond resolution before, or, you know, putting the cart before the horse, because you all know that I didn't vote for the bond resolution having to do with the sidewalk, well, pathways, not just sidewalks, they're pathways, was because I didn't believe that we had a well-defined plan as to where the money was going. In this particular case, I feel that there's a well-defined plan, but putting that aside, the other thing about this was that if all the pieces don't fall into place, there is no risk of anyone outside the proposed sewer district having to fund anything that is supposed to be put in way of infrastructure in the proposed sewer district. And the other safeguard in this particular circumstances versus the other circumstance is that if certain things aren't, certain milestones aren't marked off, there will not be a sewer district, there will not be bonds that will be issued, and this will become a moot point. So those are the reasons why in this particular case I voted for this, as opposed to when I voted no on a different topic last year. So I just wanted that to be clear to everyone. And my heart goes out to our local business owners who had the break-ins. And I feel badly, this is not the first time for that, so.
Thank you. Mary.
I also reached out and expressed my thoughts, not to every single business owner, but I, having been on the receiving end of some violent action in Vista as well, I can totally sympathize as well. I've been working with emergency response and have continually asked people to sign up for New York Alert, and maybe we can expand the notification to include a break-in system or break-in alert for the community. At the same time, I also don't want to step on the investigation that's being done by the police. I understand they have a procedure and I don't want to jeopardize what's going on there. I do know the New Canaan has at least 4 plate readers on 123 alone, and they let everybody know about it. And maybe we can get a grant from the state or an emergency application for something to pay for something like that. I'd be willing to start a task force and work with the business owners and my neighbors to make sure that we all feel safe, to make a difference. I do know that the emergency management team has got a citizen preparedness training at the Lewisboro Library on April 16th at 7 p.m. So perhaps you can sign up for that. I also want to thank the emergency response team, emergency management response team, for the work that they've been doing recently with the notifications. Due to family obligations, I haven't been as involved in the last week. And I know that it takes a lot of time, and I'm grateful for that. I also want to let you know that the Lewisboro Garden Club still has 500 seedlings available out of the 2,880 that they have ready. Rooting for Lewisboro, seedlings are now available to Lewisboro for residents and our neighbors. So go to lewisborogardenclub.org for more information. And the library is having a concert on the 13th. Pluck and Rail. I don't know if tickets are still available. So check that out. And you also want to check out the Town of Lewisboro Spring and Summer Catalog for the Parks and Recs Department. They have a wonderful camp program, and we're looking for more campers to sign up, as well as staff members to make their camping experience wonderful. So reach out to Parks and Rec about that as well.
Thanks, Mary. Rich?
Excellent. I'm very sorry for
what our business people and residents had to go through, Vista and South Salem. And I appreciate what Andrew said as liaison. I'll reach out to the chief as well to see the tangible aspect as far as the plate readers, if there's an opportunity to get more of those. But also, I gotta think that there's better opportunity for at 3 Cs I wrote down: collaboration, coordination, and communication between our local LPD as well as the state police, as well as New Canaan Police, to see there's an opportunity working together by sharing information and shared strategies as an opportunity to address these issues in a specific and tangible way. Just one other item wanted to mention: we have Saturday coming up is LPA's opening day at the town park, and myself and I guess probably Tony, our fellow Lions, will be grilling, and hope to see everybody there for a great community event.
Thanks, Rich. So yes, I have a couple of things. So there was the break-ins, and I'm sorry, Michelle, I'm sorry, Michael, that you guys had to experience that. It's awful. And Jen, sorry, both kind of get together. So yeah. But when we had the break-in at the Vista Wines a 3 weeks ago, maybe.
Almost.
Yeah, we the chief and I, we talked about, you know, what we could potentially do. So the discussion about putting in a third shift is ongoing. He is investigating what the budget would look like to do that. We've been talking about LPRs, the license plate readers, for some time. I think 123 definitely needs it. We have it on 35. It's helped us. In some cases, these vehicles are stolen, so when they read the plate, it's a stolen vehicle. They never catch the perpetrators. Sometimes, but we've actually had success with a couple of cases at least.
Crossroad.
Yeah. So we definitely need to pursue, and it's 123, it's Route 22, 121. We need LPRs. So the chief is aware of that. He's pursuing grant opportunities for that, and so there'll be more discussions. And with Andrew's help being the liaison, we'll see if we can make some progress on that.
I think he's also looking into an app.
Yeah, that's right.
Proper notification.
There is
And he has communicated with New Canaan.
right. There is good collaboration between the near or the bordering municipalities and our PD. I think we can do better with the state, because that has been an issue with them reporting on a timely fashion, or even letting us know that something happened in town. We've had a lot of issues with that. So that's something that the chief is working on, and hopefully he'll make some progress. Regarding the sewer project, this was all for the purpose of applying for this grant. We did this last year, so a lot of this information is not new. I've been engaged with the Lakes Coalition that was formed in early 22. Working with DEC, DEP, the East of Hudson Watershed Corporation. There's been a lot of discussions with Woodard and Curran. We've had folks from the Lakes Coalition involved in those discussions. And a lot of the information is on the website. If you go to the Lakes page, it's all there, including the proposed funding resolution, which we had developed last year. Not the funding resolution, but the funding mechanism and the grants that we were going to be pursuing. So that's all been published since last year. Unfortunately, we weren't successful with 2 of the grants that we had to apply for, and we're waiting on the other 2 funding sources and to be able to get that going. Hopefully, we'll have better luck this year. But again, we're being responsive to the folks in the Lakes community. They saw the result of that report that was performed in 2021, and we could have just left that report on the shelf and not done anything with it. But I'm not going to do that. So Lakes Coalition was formed. They approached me. They invited me to the first meeting. They said, "We want to do this. Help us." And so that's what I'm doing. And hopefully we'll take this past the goal line and be successful in getting the grants. And and that'll lead to clean lakes, clean aquifers that we all drink from, clean water that's going to New York City. We do care about New York City folks, so we want to make sure their water is clean as well. So it's an important project, I feel, and a lot of people feel that way. So we could certainly, if we're not successful in getting it passed and creating the district, at least I can say I've done my job, or we as a board, we did our job, right? And so hopefully we'll make some further progress. We'll continue pursuing more money, which is why I'm on the Eastern Hudson Watershed Executive Committee, because I want to know what's going on. I want to know about funds that are available that we can tap into. And so hopefully we'll be successful there. On another project, Oak Ridge, I had the pre-construction meeting last week in my office. We had a full room with the contractors, the 3 contracting companies that are going to be working with the engineering firm, with the plant operator. And just today I received, so we finalized everything, and we have a schedule that I received just today from the general contractor. So, and I'm going to email this to the Oak Ridge email group that I have, but on-site mobilization is to start on June 3rd. Site clearing will start June 6th. Excavation and rock removal would be July 12th. Foundation concrete work starting September 9th. The granular activated carbon tanks delivery, January 2025. And that's just one component. There's a lot of other stuff that we're going to be installing, new pumps, redundant systems. Thankfully, we took the opportunity with the grants to be able to do more than just the carbon filtration for eliminating PFAS. The site restoration will be April 2025, and the plant will go online, the new part, May of 2025. That's the schedule as of this afternoon at 5 p.m. We have thanks for the reminder. Route 35 project timing. It's still scheduled for spring, summer, trying to get that as soon as possible. We went to the town clerk just last week, Janet, I think from the DOT. It was basically their boilerplate agreement around closure of the highway of Route 35 and how they envision that working. It's a boilerplate agreement, not an agreement, but basically
With a notification.
a notification to say, yeah, we're going to be closing the road. One lane, single lane is going to be detours, and it is night work. So they formalized the project. It's going to get done. It's an $11 million project. So
All the way up to the town park, right?
from Route 22 to Fountain Road. Yeah.
And that's state money.
That's state money. It's Route 35, correct. And there's some drainage work and et cetera. Yeah. You're going to mill the existing road. So it's not just putting blacktop over existing. They're going to mill the old blacktop and put in new surface.
That's good.
Let's see, what else do I have? The Goldsboro Shopping Center. I don't know about open permits. I had the owner who actually lives up in Canada. He came down for a visit, asked for a meeting. We met in my office, the owner, the shopping center manager. We brainstormed ideas for the future of the shopping center. There was no discussion about any open permits or us holding up any permits. They do have a vision for that shopping center, which is going to require health department approvals with water and wastewater. But it was a good meeting, and I'm in touch with them on a regular basis. So if there was an issue, I'm sure they would have brought it to my attention. So I think somebody brought that up. I forget who it was.
That's Rutsky.
Beth Uretsky. Okay. Yeah. So there's no issue there as far as I'm aware. Back to the PD. So I think someone made a comment about it. Someone was doing a DUI or DWI that, someone could be breaking in another part of town and there not be police coverage. We do have 2 cars on patrol on the shifts that we do manage during the day. So, and that was something that was added. We didn't have that until I think it was 2 years ago that we implemented that. And so we do have 2 cars on patrol. Just want to make that clear at any one time. And I think that's all.
Do we have a mulch distribution on April 20th? There's a mulch distribution April 20th. What are the times? Compost, I'm sorry.
Post, okay.
9, then?
Because our next meeting is.
Pretty nice.
Yeah. We're gonna be there starting 8:30, so it's probably not.
Okay, thank you.
So 9 a.m., April
20th,
20th,
on a true
for compost
mulch.
mulch distribution, okay.
Till maybe 2:30, 2 o'clock.
Until they're done.
Mhm. Okay. All right, so announcements, so our next meeting is Monday, April 29th, 7:30 p.m. here at the Townhouse, 11 Main Street, South Salem. I would like to, I will motion that we go into executive session to discuss personnel and a legal issue. I'll second.
Advice of counsel.
Advice of counsel. Okay. Legal matter. Yeah. Discussion, second discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everyone.